We can see that world emerging even with softer commodities, more ephemeral things than food or energy. One of the things that I enjoy watching is what's happening to the music industry in this country. A few years ago, when college students figured out how to illegally download and share musical files, the people who ran the recording industry were understandably upset about this threat to their business model. And one of their responses was to say, in essence, if this keeps up and there's no incentive for artists to record music, then there'll be no more music. That was sort of what they, yeah, no one will make it, because how could they get rid? Well, you know. Pretty much every culture we've known about ever has made music. That's one of the ways anthropologists figure out, you know, who we are. The question is, how does it get paid for? And the answer is, much like food and energy, it's very clear the direction we're moving in. The part of the music industry that's growing very quickly is local live performance and festivals. It's the chance to hear music in the company of each other. And to understand that the pleasure comes as much from the each other as from the music. The kind of opposite of the white earbuds cocoon that we're encouraged to inhabit an awful lot of the time. Money itself, thanks to Woody, thanks to you all, is one of the next commodities that's we're going to figure out how this works with. And it's incredibly exciting to see people once again beginning to take responsibility in their communities for the financing of those communities, for figuring out how to make them work and to figure out how to do it on terms, monetary terms, that don't demand unreasonable kinds of growth from the people that they're funding. It's very exciting to see that happen. Slow money is one of the most interesting and powerful ideas out there, because it, on the one hand, is very radical and reshapes everything, and on the other hand, when people stop to think about it for a minute, it's remarkably intuitive and obvious that using money as a way to slow things down a little bit, as a way to allow new kinds of things to happen, especially things locally that you care about, it's a very, very beautiful idea. And again, we really do see it in many manifestations starting to spread. I gotta say, one of the most moving things I've gotten to do in the last few years was go down to the Berkshires about 2 years ago for the celebration of the millionth Berkshire in circulation. All right? Now, the Berkshires are great stuff. They're the kind of local currency for Western Massachusetts that the people at the Schumacher Institute put together. The Schumacher Institute, a wonderful place, and now combining with the remarkable New Economics Foundation in the UK to form a really, I think, one of the things that'll be a linchpin of this movement. But it was really fun to be down there for that celebration. And the thing that made me happiest was the sense that it was spreading very rapidly beyond the obvious suspects, you know. You could go to the bank and get any one of the normal, regular banks there in the Berkshires and draw your paycheck in either federal currency or Berkshires, and then you could spend it on almost anything. I went to the Mr. Ding-a-ling ice cream truck, you know, and I gave them a Herman Melville, and I got, you know, a chocolate fudge bomb and 2 Norman Rockwells, you know, in return. And it was a strong sense that we were moving deeper into the culture than we'd moved before. Now, these are all really good signs. We need to accelerate them dramatically. Some of that acceleration we can do politically. And it's really important to figure out how to get our political organs much more involved in this than they've been in the past. I was really happy to see Matt Dunn, who's running for governor here in Vermont, come in the tent today. I think it's one of the signs that this kind of idea and work is really beginning to interest people in power. And hopefully that will allow it to spread, because so far government has served mostly, almost entirely, as an agent of fast money, and anything that money has wanted, it's gotten, including in the last year the right to drill a mile beneath the Gulf without significant regulation, as they've waived every relevant law and allowed them to go ahead. That's got to stop, and it's got to point the other way. Instead of giving subsidies to huge industrial agribusiness, we need what subsidies there are to flow to people at the bottom of the food chain, as it were. That's it. Instead of the oil depletion allowance, we need the, sunlight increasing allowance that really allows us to fund quickly the spread of this kind of energy. I think it's all going to happen. I think we're going to do it. I think it's entirely within our possibility to do it. I think that 100 years from now, the idea that human beings will still be kind of just reclining on the couch, remote in hand, is very unlikely. We're more interesting than that. We've been blessed with this set of limbs and muscles and emotions and reason and senses, and they're for much more than that. And we've just gone down a cul-de-sac the last little while, and we will work our way out of that and into a much more interesting place.